What up?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am brand new this morning.
A Lions fan.
Born and raised in Detroit. It's a religion. Aha.
It's
Who signed it?
It's a painful religion.
True. Stafford.
I hated to see him go, but I love to see him win the Super Bowl after.
True.
Oh, Diamond Dave, what's up?
Morning, sir.
Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Hi. Mr.
Katie, you
Craig.
can't be here.
2 days in a row, Jenna.
Look at that excitement.
Ugh.
So, Craig, are you from Michigan? Is that how you're a Lions fan, or you just love pain?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's such a long story. I'll have to tell you another time, but it actually was a Dolphins game, like in '94, whatever, playoff game. Marino got hurt, and Scott Mitchell come in, threw an interception, but threw 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I'm like, he's going to play somewhere next year, and I'm going to follow him. That's how it started.
I remember Mitchell.
Everybody remembers Mitchell.
Finding United, Katie, Jenna, Mullins, good. Everyone's got their name on there. I just wanted to make sure, in case any of these hotshot salespeople in this call ever wanted to buy a part from someone, they might actually know someone. All right, who am I letting in here? Admit all. Got a couple more scragglers coming in. To answer your question, Travis, that I didn't see to this morning, yes, I was hoping that we could have some Q&A here. But there's a lot of times we get on these calls and people like to listen more than they like to talk. But I'm hoping that we could go through a few things and talk about some scenarios, or people may say, hey, but first, I guess, Craig, why don't you go first? We're still waiting for a few people to scrabble in here, but Craig, just, I'm going to go through not everybody here, just kind of the platinum guys, to just kind of how long you been doing this, Craig. Just your story a little bit would be great for the people, besides Gary, Jenna, and Casey, who already know and don't like you. So go ahead.
Right. Let's see. Started at Mullins in '96, aging myself a bit. Worked for about 3 years. Thought I'd try something else. Went to Napa for 3 years. I was a service writer at a GM dealership for 8. And I've been back here right at 15 years. So a little bit of experience. A lot of changes in 15 years, that's for sure. So
why'd you come back?
It was the only job I ever had that I actually enjoyed. That's the truth. Yep. I called Brent, was the owner or whatever. I called him one day at lunchtime. Same day he called me back after 5, and about 10 minutes later I was putting my 2 weeks in. So that's how that went down.
So you came back.
I always enjoyed the job.
Right. You came back 15 years ago. And how about just a little bit of that story? How did it go? Right. When did things change?
We were a way different facility than we are now back then, that's for sure. It was more of a clubhouse than a business. It was a lot more fun back then. No. But
it really wasn't. We just like to say, well, back in the day,
no, I'm not trying. It really was fun.
It wasn't fun.
It was less stressful. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was only 2 salesmen. I was the third one to come in. I think I was 2 months in and I was already becoming the lead salesperson. I'm not saying anything about me. What I am saying is I feel like a lot of it comes down to hustle. And the other 2 guys just didn't have it. You just got to hustle. I don't know. Well, so, I mean, all the changes beyond that have been in in the business, and I've just followed and tried to exceed the best I can. I guess is how I'll answer that question.
So that I love where you went because I think that's something what some of the people that are on the call want to know. So like, so you think it was hustle, was some of it?
Yep.
Anything else that contributed to it?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of it was my service advisor job. I learned a lot of selling skills. I feel like in that job, 'cause that's a big portion of that job is selling a job to the customer. And I got to see the other side of the business, which helped me when I'm back on this side, kind of empathize with the guys, what they're going through and whatnot. So I think that was a big thing for me, honestly.
Okay. Travis, how about you, my friend? Who the hell are
Well,
you?
I'm right here. Started out fresh out of high school. Been doing this 25 years come this spring. We used to have repairable sales, used to sell some repairable cars, then kind of moved into the sales part of it and just kept going from there.
That's a pretty non-bragging story, right? So, but over, I would say the last, when did it really change for you? And I mean, like getting to the numbers, right, where you're at now, because you're not only just a salesman, right? You're the sales manager. You do a lot of other things there, and you're still doing what, 400,000 or 500,000 a month type of
Yeah,
number.
average about 500 area right now.
So you're doing $500,000 a month, and you're the manager, and you're on sales manager calls with me, and you're pulled away some. So you have a lot going on. But where was the change and what happened? Because you and I have had this discussion. Like I went from 2 to 3 and never thought I could do it. Then I went 3 to 4. And like, tell me that progression.
Yeah, I mean, I think the very first light switch, be it good, bad, or the other, is Bill Stevens used to come in here and be a consultant for APS. I mean, this was 10, 12 years ago, and he kind of laid out how he did sales, and everybody here kind of shrugged it off that never worked in the Midwest because he's a little more pushy than the rest. And I just took it and ran with it. And that was like from when I went from being just the average salesperson here to being, in the upper end of it. And from there, yeah, I mean, every month you hit I can never do that amount. And then the next month it's like it takes off even more. I can't really explain it.
If I could speak for you, because I know you pretty well now, I would think that it's also been your curiosity, your intellectual curiosity, and the way that you've wanted to get better, right? I mean, when you got in my group the original time, you were already a $300,000 or $400,000 a month salesperson, and you were saying, "I want more training." But you reached out and said, "I want more."
Yep.
Right. I want to know more. So I think a lot of it's that again, if we'll flip back to what Craig said, is hustle, is it drive, is it desire, right? It's those things sometimes that hit the switch. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. How about you, Rich? What's your story?
I went to college or tech school to be a mechanic, and I went through it. I came back to Hannibal, my hometown. I had plenty of people tell me they'd be glad to have me come work, but they either didn't pay nothing, they had no benefits. And at the time, I had a cousin that worked for JC's who got me hired on. I started at the bottom as a dismantler, and just over the years, within 3 or 4 years, I worked myself up to sales. I've been there almost 20 years, and I love it. I just love the drive. I love the go, go, go. I feel like if I'm not doing 100 miles an hour, I'm doing something wrong.
So what kind of sales numbers do you do on average a month?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what average is, but like last month I did 625. Usually in the fives.
Okay.
I've hit 7 a couple times.
When did the fives or the fours start? Was it 4 years ago, 10 years ago? Like when did the switch get flipped to like big boy numbers?
So anything over 3, honestly, is probably when COVID hit, and that's about the time I went remote. And I was the first one through JC's to go remote, and nobody knew how it was going to go. I did plenty of research. I asked a lot of people and what they thought, and all I got was pretty much all positive responses. So I decided to pull the trigger. And my first month that I was remote, my numbers were way higher than they were before. And I got a call from the owner. He goes, "Well, it looks like this didn't hurt you." So and ever since then, it's just continued to grow.
What do you think the reason is why?
Honestly, I mean, I I treat people like I just try to be real with people on the phone, and I feel like I get that a lot. Like back, I have so many people tell me like you're the only person I like to talk to anywhere, and I just try to treat them fair, and I try to be honest with them, and like I said, I just have the drive, and I don't know, just yeah, I don't know.
So people like you.
I'd like to think that.
Well, if you're doing those kind of numbers and that many people are calling you,
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking they like you.
Yeah, and the other thing too with some of these newer guys and stuff, my big thing that I push, and I think it's helped me a lot with any kind of messaging, whether it's Skype, Car Park Messenger, answer quickly, even if it's a be right back or I'll be right there, as long as you acknowledge. Because when I'm busy and I type somebody and it's been 3 minutes and I go on, I move on because I've got other stuff to do that I don't want to forget about. And I think I've had a lot of people tell me they're like, you're fast, that's why I use you. So I think that helps. It's part of the drive.
Great.
Yeah.
Mr. Pat, you're up next.
Morning. I've been in this business about 33 years. I got into it I was working at a dealership that dealt with a Toyota specialty yard, and we called him 5-10 times a day. And he said one day, if you ever like a different opportunity, we should come talk. Well, about 2 days later, one of the sales managers or a manager of a dealership pissed me off. So I went up to the lunchroom, called him up, said the offer's still staying. The next day I put in my 2 weeks.
Sounds familiar.
And what do you think your secrets are to being successful, Pat?
Staying at my desk, staying on the phone, staying in touch with people, following through, trying to be accurate with descriptions and delivery time frame.
You mean you don't do the wishy-washy you'll have in 3 to 5 day line? You don't do that one?
Yeah, I try not to. Sometimes I'm the messenger passing it along from one of the reman companies that, it could be 2 weeks to a month and a half, but for the most part, I think I'm fairly accurate.
Okay. So, we're hearing some common threads, right? Accuracy, dealing with people, treating them the way they want, telling them what they want. How about you, Cam? What's your story?
I've been here for about 20, I think it'll be 22 years this month. Selling parts. I've been in the salvage business since like 1994, I believe. So started off at a U-Pull yard, and owner of the U-Pull yard asked me if he knew somebody who wanted to be a salesman up at the truck yard. I said, well, yeah, I will be. So, and he let me do it. He didn't want to because I was good at the U-Pull yard, but went up and talked to Dave and got hired and started the day after Christmas in 01.
And apparently it's worked out okay since then.
Yeah, it's been all right.
Yeah. And what do you attribute some of your successes to?
Being reliable. Just like everybody said, if somebody calls and leaves you a voicemail, call them back right away. Don't put it off. Don't put off any problems. If you got a problem with something, if you know there's a problem with an engine, don't put it off. Get it resolved as quickly as you can. That's gonna get people to call you back. And just be honest with people. Don't try to fast talk them. Just tell them what they can get, when they can get it, and yeah, just be reliable. I mean, that's how I built up most of my customers, just by being reliable and being there when they need something. And they know when they talk to me that they can trust me. So
yeah, common threads here. So Travis asked me, right, if this is going to be some Q&A, and I hope it would be, right? This is where I'm going to flip it to you guys, so it's more your show than mine, but do you have some questions, right? If you want, kind of, if there's not a tons of hands flying up here, but if you have something you want to ask one of these guys, this is the time. Katie?
The only question I jotted down was the whole multitasking. Like, I'm at a level where there's a lot going on. There's a lot of messaging, there's a lot of emails, there's a lot of voicemails, and how do you just keep moving forward without missing anything?
And to fill in the background there a touch, right? Katie, you're in the mid twos, right? She's in that mid two section, right? Where, like she said, she's not doing $110 a month and giving you the I'm really busy, right? She's getting into the I'm busy for real area. So which one of you guys want to come at that with time management, organizational things, and how you keep up?
Question for you, Travis.
Go ahead, Rich. You go first.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of multitasking. Anytime I'm on the phone and there's any kind of downtime, the customer's like, hey, let me go grab this, I'll be right back. I'm answering Skype messages or looking at an email. I just try to do as much as I can with whatever free time that I do have. And, sometimes I've got customers that they know how I operate, and I'll get them on the phone and they'll tell me what they have, and they know I'm putting another order in. And there are times, and I feel bad, where I'm like, all right, so what are we working on again? And I kind of have to have them repeat it, but they know I'm busy. And, if you gain their trust, they know, and they don't have a problem going back through what they need. But I feel like I'm constantly multitasking.
Can I add to Katie's question? Was there ever a point, Rich, or any of you, that there were some customers that just weren't worth your time anymore? Like they were C-level players that you had to get to other salesmen, not fire them, be mean to them, but like, listen, you're buying, a caliper a month from me, but you call me 10 times a day. Like, did you ever get rid of some of those kind of people?
Yeah, I do. I try to still be nice to them, but I either just overprice my parts or under deliver, and they kind of will try to move on from there. And you get to where you learn that if somebody's truly wasting your time and it's not going to benefit from having them as a customer.
And sometimes it's just like you said. Well, now if you may have said, hey, I've got a promotion and I'm moving into the flux capacitor division at JC's, but I'm going to turn you over to my associate, Casey, and she's going to take good care of you. Because maybe Casey's not as busy as you. She has more time and devotion to that person, and they might not be a great customer, but they could turn out to be an okay customer. It's like passing them down the line, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like you hear me say to Katie a lot of times, like, what are your minutes worth and where are you wasting them? You got to start to figure out who are those people that are worth my minutes, or can I pass them on to David and let him waste David's minutes, not yours. And I'm teasing you, David, but it's when you try to please everyone, Rich, what happens? right? It gets overwhelming. I
Yeah.
can't do it for everyone. I'm only one person.
Yeah.
Any Travis or Craig or somebody want to add to that? Travis, say something. Go
I
ahead,
like
Trav.
I like to train, or at least preach to my guys here, that being prepared, at 8 o'clock when the phone starts ringing is one of the biggest things for me, at least, is to have everything in line, make sure you did all your bird dogging of parts that were missing, parts that are late prior to 8 o'clock, and just to be ready when the phone starts ringing. Because if I start out behind the 8 ball, I'm back behind it all day long. If you're ready and you're prepared at 8 o'clock, you can just run from there. And along with that, I think I go back to what Rich said. I think I like to train a lot of customers on how it makes my life easier. You leave a message what you're looking for, so I can be prepared when I call you back to have all of the answers before we even say hello. Makes that call go that much faster.
So you come to work early and stay a little late. Do you do that every day? Some days, like what's your routine, Trav?
I personally like to be here and working on sales about an hour before the phone starts ringing. Be it if I got a sales meeting in the morning at 7, I'll be here at 6. If it's an average day and we don't have anything going beforehand, I'll be here at 7. After 5, that could go either way. If I got time, I don't need to be anywhere, I might clean up my stuff then so I'm prepared the next morning, or I might put it off till morning and make sure I get it done before 8.
Okay. So if it's 1:30 and I Skype you or I pin chat you or whatever and say, hey, Travis, I need a $50 credit on this door you sold me 2 days ago. And you say, okay. Do you note that somewhere and do that credit later and go right back to the phones, or do you do it right then?
Right that second.
You do it right that second. So is that agreed upon, all of you?
Yeah,
Yes.
just do it.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so you do it that second. All right, Craig, I know you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I just and this is what I do. I don't know that it fits for everyone, and you got to know your customer. Back to what Rich said, when he's finishing something up and the guy's on the phone, you've already answered it, but you're not ready for his information. Every minute is important, and if Rob's taught me anything, relationships with your customers the biggest thing in the world. I will bridge that time with some nonsense talk. Not that I'm on the phone to them. I'm just that little bit that I need to finish up. They don't even realize I'm doing it. I feel like that's multitasking in a good way. You're building a relationship while you're doing something else, but your customer's not sitting there in silence.
Yeah.
While you're waiting. That's what I do. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but the relationship thing, I know we'll probably touch on that later. That is the biggest thing I think I've ever accomplished for myself. Because you do get the customer calling, Travis. I got this, and this. I want this kind of warranty. I need this kind of time. I need this miles. And what used to be a 7-8 minute call can be a minute and a half, and you accomplish the same thing. And the customer's happy,
So as you build the relationships, right, the difference, right, Ryan, from you to, let's say, Rich, is they're calling Rich to order parts. They're calling you to get quotes. That's what happens when the relationship stuff starts, is it's more that way. And even for the Riches and the Travises and everybody that's on here, right? And you say, Rich, my customers understand I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Most of them sit in front of a computer.
Yeah.
And you could talk them into getting their own little Skype. And and for them to be able to say, hey, I need a motor, and start some of that with you would be great, or any of you. Or, hey, Rich, no hurry, but call me. Right? I would much rather them Skype me with a, hey, give me a call, than banging my phone all day. I'll call you when I have my second, if they're not in a rush. Or they may give you a 911, Rich, call me now. and depending on what dude it is, you're gonna call.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few of my customers I got them set up on Skype. And it works out
So
pretty
you
well.
do, so you do have customers on Skype, and
Yeah.
once they get it and start using it, do they love it with you?
Yes. It's easy. And then the other thing I like about it too, I mean, we record our phone calls, which it's a pain in the ass to go back and go through them, but you have a history of what they told you, what you told them. And it's helped me a few times to go back and be like, well, this is what you told me.
Right. And when you're training them to send you, it's a 16 F-150 VIN number part request. Right. Once you start training your customers of what information, like Craig said it, they just start calling you. I need an engine by Friday with less than 100K with a 1-year parts and labor for 1750. Right. PO 12345. Here you go, Craig. Done.
And if I have a question for Rich with the Skype,
yeah,
because I have customers that text me or Skype or whatever it is, but if it is slow, which I know is not that often anymore, it seems like.
Yeah.
But do you've sold them 10 motors, but you haven't talked to them in a month? Do you reach out to them for no reason and just?
Yeah, I have.
I do that. That's what I was just curious if I don't think that's a waste of time by any means.
Yeah.
But
100% agree.
I was just curious.
Yeah, that and even with text messages and stuff, be like, hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you. What's up?
I kind of had a question that goes with that. Like, what are you spending your time? Like, what's most important? Just like following up with people that you've sold stuff to in the past, or your good customers, touching base with them, or quote callbacks, or like which is more important, I guess? What do you?
I think following up, actually.
Following up with something that they just bought?
Call them back in a couple days, ask them if they got the core ready, how everything turned out on that. Body shops, if they sent them a couple doors, ask them, how the doors looked, and just following up, I think, is a lot more important than just calling back on quotes, I think, personally. So let them know that you're still invested in their business, so or in that sale, basically. So
Travis?
Well, and to go with that follow-up, I like to do it a lot. Not many people do it. Is with the follow-up, ask the customer if they got anybody that they, referral. Referral's pretty powerful. A shop owner trusts you and he refers his buddy that owns another shop down the road. You got him from the word go.
There's a lot to say that you can do both. I mean, do any of you right? So whatever. So Buck's Garage calls you, Katie, and you do what I ask you to do, and you put Buck's Garage in first, and you look down, and there's some quotes down there. Do you ask about the quote from yesterday that you see right down at the bottom of your Pinnacle screen? Do you ever say, hey, what about that? Any of you? Right, Dallas, you're saying yes. Like, hey, what if it's Gary's quote? Do you still ask?
I plead the fifth.
That's a yes.
I would absolutely say yes. Hey, what about that Gary called John yesterday? Right? Absolutely. Right? I mean, but it's you know what I mean? So Jenny, you could be looking down and killing a couple birds with one stone. Like you could be following up on 2 quotes from 2 days ago with this dude on the same call. Right? So there's kind of a double dip. There's a 2-for-1, right? Two things at once that I could be doing there.
And Jenna, I not to speak for you, but I know we've spoke outside of this class, obviously. You're not going to not answer an incoming call to make an outgoing quote call. Is that kind of what you were asking on the importance? Because
that's what I thought. What's most important, obviously answering the phone, but
it's got to be answering.
But I'm saying as far as outgoing calls, where we put our time.
if any of you have ever studied the phone data, Travis, and I'm kind of going to you, you know your busy times, Travis, and you know the slow times for the phone action. You should know that not by what you feel, because we all have, oh, this was a busy day and your sales were crap, or oh, I didn't do anything today and your sales were great. But there are phone times, there's times, days of the week and times of the day, Travis, right, that they are slower than busier. Know what the times are, Jenna, and schedule around it, Katie, to know when the slower times are. Normally, the front of the house and the back of the house work on opposite shifts, right? When the front's slow, the back's crazy busy, a lot of times end of the day or the beginning of the day. And when the front's busy, the back is slow. Like your production staff, it's never the same time. Why? Well, we got to take all the orders. And by the time we take all the orders for 2 hours and put them in there, then they start working on them. They're busy 2 hours later. Or the back blows off all the work and says, oh, it's not busy, we'll do that later. And then you guys dump 40 orders in there and they're running around in the back going, how are we going to do all this by 5? Right. So, but knowing the right times of the day too is a big help, Jenna. So I know the best time for you to call is between 10 and 11 or 4 and 5. Let's just say whatever your times may be. You know I'm going to lean toward drivetrain callbacks, right? I'm leaning that way too, right? Because a lot of times you're kidding you. Because now, let's say Cam, I'm calling about the motor I quoted you on yesterday. I could also be following up on the transmission I sold you 2 days ago too. So I could be doing a twofer. Hey, how was the tranny yesterday? Is the core ready? Is everything good? And what about the motor you called on yesterday? So there's double whammies. Any other questions?
Yeah, the importance of the mental part of this game, and I'm new and still struggling, but did you guys just have that Zen personality when you came in, or did you become numb to the punch in the face that happens from the back, the front, wherever?
That takes
As
time.
far as the punch in the face, what do you mean as far as like getting that phone call that an engine's bad or you lost a big sale or?
Yeah, more or less when the back of the house isn't supporting the front, so you lose big customers, or again, gotta make that third phone call to that already pissed off customer and take another ass chewing.
I don't know if this is the right answer. I always accept blame. I mean, I don't know if that's for me mentally, once I decided, hey, it was my fault no matter what, it seems easier to deal with. I don't know if that's numb or how you want to refer to that.
I think the longer you're in it, the more you understand that it's part of the game. Correct, Travis? Like I understand, right, Rich? Every day I'm gonna have 5 shit sandwiches and I'm gonna put a little sugar and whipped cream on top, and it's gonna be the best shit sandwich I ever had.
Yep.
Right. So, and when you're new and no one prepared you for those shit sandwiches, Brian, or asked you what kind of bread you wanted on them, it's a shock at first. Like, no one told me 20% of this shit was coming back, Dallas. Why did you lie to me? Right. And I think once you get it and then are able to comprehend it and understand parts are going to get broken, parts are going to get lost, parts are going to get inventory wrong. I'm going to make my own mistakes. I thought you said 2004 F-150, not 2004 Ford F-150, Rich, right? There's some of that that's my fault, or the customer gives you Dave the old, I think it's a 2-liter, right? Because remember, I think means get the freaking VIN, please.
Yep.
Right. So, but there's some of that that's our fault too, Ryan. Right. And it goes around, and I have to understand that some of that's just part of the game.
Yeah, I always just step in front of it. I mean, one thing I found out that is if there's something bad going on and your customer's pissed off at you, take the blame yourself, because if the customer likes you, you're going to get a little bit more empathy from them than if you just throw somebody else under the bus, because then at the end of the day, they're still pissed off, but they're probably less pissed off if you step in front and take that bullet. That's one thing I've learned.
All right.
Right. You know.
Yeah, in the end, the responsible always falls on your shoulders because it's, you
Yeah,
know,
we're salesmen. We always get the blame anyway. So,
yep,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and we're not the only ones. If they deal with other facilities that they order from, we're not the only ones that have failures or mistakes. It's just we got to be the ones that deal with it better than the other guy.
Mhm.
And the way you learn that you don't take it on yourself is when you make the mistake and you say, well, Dallas, I don't have one, but I can order one in for you. And your customer says, I only like it when it's your parts, Dallas. I never like it when you broker parts. Right? When I hear the customer say that, that's because you blame the vendor every time there was a problem and you've never owned up to the problem. That's what that tells me. Right? When the customers, because we've all heard that. I only like your parts, Travis. Well, that's because you blamed somebody else a few times for some bad things, right? And you never ate the shit sandwich yourself. So, and we've all done that. But it's getting away from the I got to order it from my Mississippi warehouse crap. When do you need it? And I can get it there that day or I can't. I don't need all the Mississippi stuff, right? Right? I don't need all that, right? I need when do you need it? And I can do it. That's what I want to hear, right? I'm calling Rich up at JC saying, Rich, I need this training. I need it by Friday. You either going to say what to me? Yes, no problem, Rob. Or can you live with Monday?
What do you got to spend?
Yep.
Right? What's the money? If you want it by Friday, it's an extra nickel. I don't know what to tell you, right?
Yeah.
Because, right, availability is a different thing. I got a guy on vacation with the kids towing a camper and I need the transmission tomorrow, Rich. Price is it just get me the trim. What do you got to do?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, either you can do it or you can't. You can't bend reality. So that's back to the honesty thing that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
I mean, you can't change it. I have to say it is what it is, but it really is. Either I can do it or I can't.
Because there are people that'll say no problem and then call you tomorrow and say, oh, there was a little delay. It's going to be 2 days.
Yeah,
They
totally.
want to hook you in. All of you, everyone's been in my groups that's on here, and everyone's been some of them for a long time, right? White lies turn into big lies really fast. And the minute I catch you lying to me, right, all the trust is gone and it takes a long time to get it back. Right? Do I bend reality sometimes? Maybe. I don't white lie. Right? But again, I don't have to lie if I ask the questions and you tell me what it is. And I probably would have to dare say that's a lot of the success, right? I'll say for all the Morrison's people, they're somewhat fresh into this group, right? We haven't hit the year mark yet. It's a different sell, Dallas, when you stop thinking about what do I want to sell them and change your mindset to what do they want and let me sell them what they want. That's different when you've been doing it the other way for a long time. And when you're, 20 plus years into this, Pat, Rich, most of you, the old way, Travis, was that's how we did sell pepperoni pizza because there wasn't as many pizza places, right? There wasn't PRP, there wasn't trucking networks. It was different then. It was, this is what I got. And I'd near buy a part from somebody else that's junkyard down the road. Why would I give them money to bid against me at the auction, Pat? That's not what we do here. Well, that's gone. Right? It's a different world, right, Dallas? And to change the mindset to I'm going to give you what you want instead of what I want to sell you, right? Or I know it's hard for some of you to believe here, but people actually used to just call you for parts. Right, Pat? They used to actually call and go, hey, I wonder if you happen to have one of these. It wasn't, hey, I know you haven't. Here's your stock number, and here's the color cam, and here's the blah, 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 blah. Like, they actually used to not know. That's when
it
there
was
was
fun.
that's when there was a lot more white lies going on.
Oh yeah.
Right. But that's a whole nother, that's another era. It's not the same. What you do now, Rich, selling parts, is not what you even did 5 years ago. Because literally 5 years ago, data tiering on car part wasn't a big thing. Now it's the thing. Right? So I go from mom and pop grocery store, and now all of a sudden I tier 4 other grocery stores, and now my grocery store looks like a supermarket as opposed to the corner store. And it's just a little bit of a fake reality. Questions? I have one. How do you maintain it? How do you maintain the sales? Or once you build it, does it just continue? I mean, do you guys ever have dips? Like Rich, do you ever do like $175,000 in a month? Or how do you maintain it? Is it that you've built your base and that's what maintains it? Like, how do you keep it going?
Yeah, I think just building your base, I think that maintains it for me. I mean, there's a lot of days I'll go through at the end of the day and just look at my sales, and seems like 90% of it's all just return customers that I deal with every day. Just a norm. So it's, you know, but as far as the dipping, no, I mean, honestly, anymore, it doesn't really change much.
Just the selling days in the month is what changes it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So your $700,000 month was what, August, March, or October? It was one of those three,
yeah, I think you're
probably,
right. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What percentage of your sales, Rich, do you know go to end user customers or yard to yard sales? Are you like a 50-50 guy? Are you a 70-30 guy?
I do sell a lot to other yards. I've checked that before. I've never seen numbers. I'll be honest with you, I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't, in JC's, we really don't push numbers and stuff a lot. So I don't see a lot of that. I guess I don't care to ask. But I'd say probably 70, 70-40, probably yards to
So
customers.
70% yards, 30% end users, or 70% end user, 30% yard?
Uh, Probably 70% end user. I
Okay.
know I sell more to end users than I do other yards when I've checked.
Okay. And the reason I ask, right, is, and I'd love to sit down with you sometime and give you a little sheet to fill out so you know, is because it's the brokered and the warranty opportunity. And if I watch it a little bit and monitor it, Rich, at least I could see if it's slipping some. Because listen, now that you're on this call, right, you guys, right, Griffin, you may look up and now JC's comes up and you're like, oh shit, I know that guy Rich over there. That's who I'm gonna go buy the part from. So the longer you're in it and the better you are at it, the more other people are gonna want to find you and buy parts from you. I just got to be careful to watch to make sure that doesn't accelerate. So if you start all of a sudden, you start seeing your sales dollars, are going up, but your warranty isn't going up along with it. It's because I'm getting more yard to yard sales, right? I'm not having the end user stuff, and I've watched it flip sometimes. This is why I'm saying it, Rich. Is I've all of a sudden I've watched someone be like you say, 70 end user, 30, and then this keeps growing. I want them to go together. It's kind of like in stock and brokered sales, right? I want them to always move together. I want yard and end user stuff go there because normally in a normal situation, we get paid good on brokered profit. We get paid good on warranty. In stock sales to other yards is where we normally get paid our lowest commission. And it should be. It's a lot of money to be on those trailers and run those parts and do that stuff. Travis, what about you? What are you end user to yard?
I'd say it's probably pretty close to what Rich was saying. Maybe closer to like 25, 75. As I've always told you, I'm still in the general queue. I think it keeps you sharp.
Rich, are you in the general queue? Are you taking like
Yes,
capacitor?
just here recently, if I've got a really busy day going, I've been getting out of the queue. And but no, I still enjoy it. I don't mind talking to walk-in customers, and I like to stay busy, and if there is any downtime, I don't want to be sitting here when I know I could be answering the phone. And plus I like money.
And retail drivetrain is easier sale sometimes. Right? It can be. What about you, Craig? Are you in the queue?
Yeah, there's no dropping out. Yeah, we're all the
Okay.
same.
All the same. Free for all.
Yep. Man, the last couple of months though, I've been telling Jenna, I'm like, the pin chats have increased for me tremendously, which it's still money. You're not going to not do it. But in thinking, in my brain, I'm like, damn, every time I sell that, that's hurting my percentages. So we're so wrapped in numbers. That's where my brain went. I'm like, it's still money.
Yeah.
Right.
You shouldn't be mad because you sold a motor on a pin chat or whatever, but our numbers we're definitely a numbers yard.
Well, I used to have this argument with owners, and he'd be like, so there's 2 yards on the opposite side of whatever, Minnesota, right? Let's say APS is on this side and AAA is on this side. And they would be like, I don't want to discount any of my engines to AAA on the other side there, give them a deal, because why would I do that? Well, there are some people that are as loyal to you, loyal to them. So when you say money's money, do I want some piece of the action, Travis, or no piece of the action? Or am I big-headed and arrogant enough to say, they'll call me if I have it? Or shit, they're going to just buy it from someone else, right? So what piece of the action do I want? Now, I'm not saying give away the farm and I need to have a fair deal. If I'm going to have a partnership with you, Travis, and we're on opposite sides of the town, we're going to compete on service, right? Not prices. Like, I'm not going to give you 20% off and then you mark it up 10% and start playing that game with me, right? Because I'll catch you quick enough doing that. But if it's apples to apples, I want a piece of the action. It took me a lot of years in this industry to just learn. I just want to sell the parts, Gary. I don't care to who. I just want to sell them. But remember, as a 100% commission salesperson, you're put in somewhat of a selfish position. Is that fair to say, Rich? Like, your company's looking at you saying, dude, you need to think about you. And I'm doing that to you because the better you do for you, Rich, guess what happens? The better it is for me, right? Company guy. So you are in a bit of a selfish situation because of, hey, we're really busy out back and we lost 3 QC guys. So the cutoff is noon today, Travis, not 3. Right? Wait a minute. I'm a 100% commission salesperson. I get to sell parts, and now you tell me I can't sell anymore today? Or, hey, Rich, that engine you sold that was $10,000 out of the diesel, we missed it. The block's cracked. So I either go, or I go broker one really quick and I make a little bit of money and I still get a piece of something rich, don't I? It's all part of the game. Right? That's the way that goes with it. And it takes a little time. But the game's changed. I just said it. Tiering wasn't a thing 5 years ago. EV cars weren't a thing 10 years ago. Hybrids, all those things, all that stuff changes, right? Ops tracks, parts trader, APU, CCC, all these things. I mean, for Travis and Pat and Cam and Rich, I mean, how many electronic data matching type of things for insurance companies have you seen come and go in the last 25 years? A lot. None of them have ever worked successfully. I don't know how they keep trying, right? But it changes. But to sum it up, what do you hear, Katie, from all these guys? Like, what's the common denominator? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Consistency, relationship building.
Understanding the game and
Yeah.
how to play the game. What are the rules of the game, or what are the things that happen? And I'm proactive instead of reactive. Cam was saying it a lot too. Very proactive instead of reactive to situations. I got a problem, fix it. Don't blow it off. Don't put it out, right? Or Ryan used the word, oh, I got to call that guy for the third time and have him tear me a new ass, or whatever he said. That's an exception to the rule, right? Are there going to be some guys that are angry? Yes. Or women that are angry? Absolutely, once in a while. But that's an exception to the rule. That's not the rule. And some of the ways that you handled it, and sometimes the way you get your ass chewed could be 50% your fault, Cam, right? Because you delayed the information. You didn't call them back in time. Your service experience, Craig, shows you I've got a lift tied up. I scheduled this lift to do this job today, and now the part's not here. You understand that, so you're proactive to call him, even if it's the night before, with a text or an email saying the motor's not coming in the morning. I wanted you to know before 8 a.m. so you could bring something else in and get it done. That's value, right? That's value on a bad deal. So thanks for the platinum guys sharing their class today. Thanks for all of you. I mean, I say this all the time, right? Will or skill. The efforts are what you make of it and what you want to do. So for all of you to show up for an extra class, you've already had class this week, and now you showed up for an extra one to come in early again to sit here and be there. I don't think Cam and Pat or Rich, Travis, Craig, any of you would mind a Skype message with a question sometime, or a phone call. Hey, could I pick your brain sometime, Rich, or something? I think these guys are willing to share anything with anybody because they're just a peer of yours. They've just been successful.
I learn as much from questions of newer salespeople than I do, sometimes for myself, is because the question gets you thinking about why you're doing it or how you're doing it.
Yeah. And I want to say something before everybody leaves. And I didn't put my chapstick on this morning, Rob. I'm sorry. When it sounds like I'm kissing his ass here, stay in Rob's class. I didn't speak to that earlier. Game changer for me. That's one of my numbers. I didn't touch on it. I didn't understand where you wanted with the question until these guys answered early on. Game changer. That's when my numbers started going up. And we weren't buddies at the beginning of it, but we got past that. And it
Craig, there was a time Craig was going to drive to New York and kick my ass. And luckily,
I was gonna drive to New York and get my ass kicked, but I mean, there was gonna be a fight.
You'd have probably had a gun because I don't have guns, right? You stopped and got one from Travis on the way here.
Yeah, there you go.
But I've said it. I mean, I appreciate it, Craig. That's not what this was about, but I'll say it for the 1,000th time. Like 5% me, 95% you. I'm just the coach, right? You guys play the game, right? I got some old timers here. They're not over yet. You're not ready to retire yet, Rich, right? But I got some veterans. I got some mid-level people, and then we have some rookies and some newer people, right? We always learn from the other people, but it's always, again, I'll say, you're going to get out of this what you put in. Look at those two from Morrison's, like two little fucking school kids. I wasn't supposed to F mom, but you look like two little kids that are about to get in trouble. You're poking each other under the desk. I recorded this call. I'm probably going to put this call up and share this call so other people can see the questions that you asked. So if anybody has a problem with that, I don't care. But I am going to post it up there because I want to share this with people. I want other people that are afraid that there's some people that don't like Zoom and they don't want to be on it and seen, but we're just all one industry here, and I feel that everyone should share and everyone should help, and we're all in this together. This isn't any us against them. This isn't us against Phoenix or RTP or ASOP or any of those. We're just recyclers, right? We're just here to sell parts. This is what our jobs is, right? So I appreciate everyone's time, especially the veteran guys that are on the call and all of you that had your extra time. Have a safe weekend and see you guys in class. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
See you later,
Yeah.
guys. See you, everybody.